Thank you. Thank you so much, Jamie, for your most kind words. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me here again today. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure for me to be in America. And it's an honor to be at Restoration Weekend again, especially at this moment when a new Congress and a new majority in your Senate are preparing to lead this great country and change it for the better. Congratulations with the results. As Jamie said, I am a simple politician from Europe. I'm a member of the Dutch House of Representatives. I'm the leader of the Party for Freedom. Indeed, the number 4 party, but the good news from today is that we are, as from 3 weeks ago, the number 1 party in the polls in Holland. And indeed, I am not a president, nor a governor. I'm not even a member of the cabinet. I'm just a member of Congress. However, as Jamie said, for over more than 10 years now, I have been living under 24/7 police protection. I lived with my wife in army barracks, in prison cells, in safe houses until this very day, just to be safe. And indeed, wherever I go, armed policemen accompany me. And they accompany me for the only reason to protect me against jihadists, against the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or ISIS and many others who threaten to kill me. And my point is that they are not threatening to kill me because I'm such an important person, because I am not, but because I dare to speak out and tell the truth about Islam and the fight to preserve our own Western civilization. And ladies and gentlemen, in Europe, in my continent Europe, we made a terrible mistake. During the past decades, our politicians foolishly allowed millions of Islamic immigrants to settle within our borders. Everywhere the Islamic culture was welcomed as an enrichment. And nowhere all over Europe, the demand was made that the immigrants should assimilate to our culture and not the other way around. Not a single European leader had the guts to state the obvious and tell the truth. And the truth is that our own Western culture, based on Christianity, based on Judaism and humanism, is far superior than the Islamic culture that immigrants have adopted. Our culture is better. And now, in Europe, we are paying the price for this folly. Islam today is eating away our Judeo-Christian humanist civilization and replacing it with intolerance, with hatred, with violence. And our so-called leaders allow it. 25 years ago, the Berlin Wall fell and the Iron Curtain was dismantled. Thanks to President Ronald Reagan, indeed, as I believe, America's greatest and best president ever. Thanks to President Reagan, the totalitarian ideology of communism was defeated in Europe and my continent was once again liberated. But now again, another totalitarianism has nestled itself in the heart of Europe. Last summer, my hometown, The Hague, witnessed scenes that brought back memories of the darkest period in our history, the Nazi era. Sympathizers of the Islamic State paraded in our streets. They carried swastikas. They carried the black flags of the Islamic State. They shouted in the streets of The Hague, "Death to the Jews." They shouted, "O Jews, the army of Muhammad is coming for you," in the streets of The Hague in broad daylight. And instead of rounding up these hate mongers, the Dutch authorities did nothing. When we in Europe warn against Islam, the authorities call it hate speech. They bring us to court. But when the grim forces of hatred march down our streets, the police look on and do not interfere. And that's a disgrace. That's intolerable. That's a scandal. Ladies and gentlemen, Islam is waging war against the free West. Only fools can deny it. The Islamic State has declared war on us. And we have already had our share of beheadings in Europe. And it has started here too, by the way. And America and its allies are currently bombing the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. And that's excellent. My party supports this offensive, and I'm glad and proud that Dutch and American F-16s participate in it and stand shoulder to shoulder in this endeavor. We should liquidate Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and all the other criminals who are leading the Islamic State today. But my point is that we have to do more than that. Far more important than fighting the Islamic State abroad is the fight to preserve our own security in our own countries. That should be priority number one. In the Netherlands, in America, in Canada, in Australia, in all the other Western countries, it is our homes that we must protect first and foremost. And unfortunately, we are not doing that. Let me give you an example. Recently, the Dutch authorities prevented over 50 jihadis to leave my country when they attempted to go to Syria to fight for the Islamic State. Their passports were seized, but they were sent home instead of jailed. Can you believe it? How stupid can one be? These criminals now freely walk our streets and make those streets unsafe. And as you might remember, the jihadis who last month murdered 2 soldiers in Canada were also people whom the authorities had previously prevented to leave for Syria, but not jailed either. So what I suggest is that we either detain every jihadi or anybody who is planning to fight in Syria, or we let them leave but never let them return. Never allow them to come back. Once you're out, you're out. My friends, let us be brave. That is what we must do. That is our duty. And let me ask you, do our leaders tell us the truth? Do they tell us the truth about Islam? They do not. They even lie to us about Islam. Every day we hear repeat them the sickening mantra that Islam is a religion of peace. Whenever an atrocity is committed in the name of Islam, whenever someone is beheaded in Syria or Iraq, Barack Obama, David Cameron, my own Prime Minister, and many of their colleagues all over the world run to the television cameras to tell the world that it has nothing whatsoever to do with Islam. How stupid do they think we are? The Quran is full of verses such as Surah 47 verse 4, which says, "When you meet the unbelievers, smite at their necks and cause a bloodbath among them." How much more Islamic do you want it, Mr. Obama? With every new terroristic crime, with every new attack, with every new beheading, it becomes clear to ever more people what the true nature of Islam is. With every Islamic assault on our values, more and more people realize that Islam wants to conquer the world, that it is prepared to terrorize, to kill, to enslave anyone who refuses to submit, and that it is ready to commit the biggest atrocities to achieve this goal. Of course, I repeat it wherever I go. Of course, there are many moderate Muslims. I believe in moderate people, but I do not believe in a moderate Islam. Don't let... Yes. Don't let anybody fool you. There is only one Islam, and that is the Islam of the Quran, the Hadith, the life of Muhammad, who, as we all know, was a terrorist and a warlord. But even though there are many moderate Muslims, it is wrong to think that the majority are moderate. They are not. This week, a terrifying poll was published in my country. We already knew from an earlier poll that 3/4 of all Muslims in the Netherlands say that Dutch Muslims who go and fight in Syria are heroes. Can you believe it? 3/4 of all Muslims in Holland believe that jihadis are heroes. And now, in a new poll from last week, it appears that 80% of the Turkish youth in Holland do not consider it wrong to use violence against non-believers. And they also support, the same 80% also support the armed combat of Hamas against our ally, the only democracy in the Middle East called Israel. And my friends, we cannot tolerate within our own borders extremists who do not only want to destroy our nations, but who also want to destroy the Jewish homeland. We stand with Israel. We defend Israel. Thank you. Israel is one of us. We are Israel. If Israel falls, we all fall. Ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago, I called upon Muslims to liberate themselves from the yoke of Islam, to choose for freedom. And I wholeheartedly support Muslims who love freedom. So I told them, free yourselves, leave Islam. And I still stand with this appeal. But this does not blind me to the terrible reality we are facing today. The day before yesterday, there was a quarrel in our parliament in the Netherlands that I want to tell you about. To see the state of the Dutch parliament this year in 2014. Of course, a quarrel in a parliament is not so remarkable. Congressmen quarrel all the time, unfortunately. But they do. They do it in America, they do it in Holland, they do it everywhere. But this time, something extraordinary happened. We had one Dutch congressman, and it was in the headline news all over the Netherlands in the last few days, one Dutch congressman, a Turk, threatening another Dutch congressman, a Moroccan, by shouting, "May Allah punish you." That's what he said in the Dutch parliament. And that is not even all. They also demanded in the Dutch parliament special washing rooms for Muslims, and they do not accept in the Dutch parliament being contradicted by female members of Congress. We might laugh and joke about it, but this is the parliament. I'm not talking about the street corner, but this is the parliament of the Kingdom of the Netherlands today. Politicians invoking Allah, threatening each other with Islamic curses, demanding special washing rooms and treating women as inferior beings. It's a total disgrace, and I hope you will take measures to prevent what is happening to Europe today, to America tomorrow. Meanwhile, as Jamie so rightfully said, unfortunately the Dutch public prosecutor is going after me again. You may have heard that 3 years ago I was already taken to court on hate crime charges, a court case that lasted over 2 years. Unfortunately, I was acquitted on all charges. But now they want to bring me to court again. They do not see Islam as the problem. They do not see jihadis as the problem. They do not see parliamentarians who invoke Allah in parliament as the problem. They see me and my party as a problem. They try to silence the messenger, but they will never succeed, because I will always speak the truth about Islam, whatever the consequences. For the simple reason that you and I, that we love our country, that we love our freedom, that we believe that without liberty, life is not worth living, that we celebrate life as jihadis celebrate death. My friends, when politicians become appeasers of evil, the people must stand up and speak. And that is why, with some friends, I have established the International Freedom Alliance, IFA, an international organization to fight for freedom and to oppose Islam here in America, in Europe, in Israel, in Canada, in Australia, everywhere in the free world. It aims to be a network of resistance in all the countries threatened by Islam. And our mission is quite clear. We want, as my party in the Netherlands wants, to stop all immigration from Islamic countries. If we don't start with stopping the immigration from Islamic countries, nothing will be successful. We have to start with that. Also, we aim for the voluntary remigration of people to Islamic countries and to expel criminals and jihadis. Strip them of your own nationality and send them packing with the first plane home. Our mission is to preserve and save our Judeo-Christian civilization and values. And therefore, we also advocate no more mosques and close down all Islamic schools. There is one path. There is one path that we will never choose. And that is the path of submission. We are neither prepared to collaborate with evil nor to appease it. And ladies and gentlemen, believe me, Islam is evil. We must shout this out so loud that even President Obama and all the other cowards in politics all over the West will hear it. This is what we should do. Let us cry a river for every innocent victim of the Islamic State, for every poor girl abducted by Boko Haram in Nigeria, for every Jew, for every Christian, for every Yazidi persecuted in the Islamic world. But let us make sure that no one will ever have to cry for our own children. No one. Never. My friends, we have a duty. We are the torchbearers of freedom. We are the torchbearers for a civilization that is far superior to any other civilization on earth, that is worth defending. We are the torchbearers for a better future, a future without Islamic dominance and without violence. As you Americans, as you sing so proudly in your beautiful national anthem, your country, the great America, is the land of the free and the home of the brave. So be brave, America. So keep your land free, America. Avoid all the mistakes Europe made in the last decades. Protect America against Islam. Stop the immigration from Islamic countries. Go forth with courage. Keep the light of liberty shining. Save freedom. Save America. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you for coming and speaking to us. On 9/11 at my university in Miami Shores, Bear University, they allowed an imam to come and chant Allah Akbar at an interfaith ceremony that was intended to honor the 9/11 victims. I spoke out against it, was reprimanded for it. My question to you is, how can students and how can people in this country stand up to liberal academia that is teaching people Islamic studies and teaching them that Islam is a religion, that Islam is the religion of peace, when really all it advocates is hate, and really it's more of a cult than a religion?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, the same happened all over Europe. In my own country, Holland, after 9/11, there were Muslims celebrating in the streets for what happened, all the terrible atrocities. And of course, education is one of the most important keys to tell the people the truth. Unfortunately, the education system, like the media, and at least in Europe, I don't think it's so different here, it's very hard to influence. At the end of the day, I believe it's a political decision. Politicians can make the decision what children learn on school, what will happen at least with the state-controlled media that every country has as well. So at the end of the day, when people ask me, Mr. Wilders, what can we do? You gave some examples. Well, the best thing you can do is vote for politicians who are not afraid to address the problem, who are not shining away and not eager to tell the truth about Islam and about immigration. Vote for them. If you don't vote for them, nothing at the end of the day will change.
Steve Emerson gets the last question.
Geert, you're an inspiration to us all. Thank you. And on that note, how can we find out how to help both your defense and your effort and help free Europe?
Yes, Well, like I said, Europe is almost lost. And Europe is an important ally to the United States. So my message is, America, wake up, not only to not stand alone and help Europe by making the right choices, but also make sure you're not losing your own country. America is already in the process for not learning what mistakes we made. So it's 5 minutes to 12 for you guys as well. Wake up. This is what I say. And if you... Yes, sure.
It's so good to see you again. You're welcome back on Capitol Hill anytime. We got 3 members here. We'd love to sponsor you again anytime you come. I know you travel so much. I don't know if you saw, but yesterday, for the first time, Friday Muslim prayers were conducted in the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. And what the Episcopal Church didn't realize, and what you know better than most anyone, anniversaries are a big deal to these terrorists. And it's the 100th, I'd like to say it's the 1,000th, but it was the 100th anniversary, November 14th, 1914, when the last caliph of the Ottoman Empire, the last one, issued a fatwa that started the murder spree that began with young girls being raped and then crucified. And so anyway, we see what's happening here, and hardly a peep about yesterday. But you have been spreading the word in Europe for so long, and like you said, the elections have gone better for you. But I'm wondering, as a member of Congress, how are you finding things among your other members of Congress? Are people waking up to, gee, Geert, you've kind of been right on this all along. Are you experiencing more of that?
Thank you for the question. And before I answer that, ladies and gentlemen, I said choose and elect politicians who are able and who have the guts to talk about the issue. And I haven't met so many in the United States of America, to be honest, but I've met a few. And maybe you would allow me to ask for applause for people like Louis Gohmert, but also Michelle Bachmann, who had the guts to do that in the past. If America had more politicians like you, then I would not be standing here, most probably. Well, the answer, the question about is there a change? Yes. The good news is that there is a change. The change is, however, more at the vox populi, at the public, than at the political level. We had another very interesting poll in the Netherlands that asked the people, do you believe that the Islamic culture belongs to the Netherlands? And all over the board, from left to right, from all parties, 2/3 of the people, almost 70% of the Dutchmen said Islam does not belong to the Netherlands. So it was a poll from July this year, so it was very clear. And well, you know, politicians, my own Prime Minister is now into a coalition government with the Liberals, the Social Democrats, as you call the Liberals, communists, they are all, I believe. So the policy is not changed, and that is what should change, because I'm not even blaming all the people from Morocco and Nigeria and whatever country to come to our countries. I understand that they want to come to our societies. But it are the political leaders, the people who allowed the mass immigration to come. And as I always say, the biggest disease is not only immigration, but is what I call cultural relativism. Politicians who are afraid to say, because they are afraid being labeled as a racist or a bigot, to say that, yes, we have a culture. It's Christianity and Judaism, and it's superior to an Islamic culture. That is what we should say. And it is something to be proud of, not to be ashamed of. And to be able to speak out comes with a very high price for any politicians. You are labeled extremist, you are taken to court, you will be threatened by jihadis. I mean, it's not very pleasant to speak out about the subject. But indeed, in my country and in many other European countries, you see that the few parties that are there, that are telling the truth about Islam, are winning. And the elite doesn't like it, but they cannot stop it anymore. Thank you. Thank you so much.